What's up guys, it's Cam coming at you from the 2-6. Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. You know, there are plenty of fragrance brands that have all sorts of gimmicks, and you know, a lot of times it's just for a complete and total selling point. It's not very often, as a matter of fact, I don't know that I have ever, you know, like truly experienced like a real honest to God genuine situation with, well, I take that back. I can think of maybe one for sure where it's just genuine. There's the passion, there's no gimmicks. I mean, I understand people have to make a living, but if you can make a living, do what you love to do, and your packaging, your fragrances, and everything else are just a complete, just, you know, it just exudes off of you that you're genuine. You know, you're the real deal. Your fragrances are an extension of your love and your personality and your passion. Yeah. Today I'm doing my first impressions of the Precious Liquid line from Richard and Herpin. If you guys missed my episode, like 2 episodes ago, where I had Mandarine picked as my #1 pick for my fresh out of the shower fragrances, I mentioned I was going to be doing a first impressions. Well, here it is. Now, in all seriousness, I have spoke to Richard and together. Sometimes, like, they'll put me on speakerphone. I'll be talking to both of them, and they're just like a happy couple. But you know, they also mentioned that it's work. They pray together. They forgive each other before they go to bed. And I legitimately know like a couple of people that were getting married, and I was like, "You're really getting married?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes." But you know, it's not very often that you run into, you know, like a younger couple that really just takes their marriage seriously. I mean, like, of course you'll see like older couples that have been married for 40 years, but wow, yeah, I'm just really impressed with this couple, and these fragrances just really have that love. And their presentations also speak of that love, and it's their love for God, which is a bold statement, especially this day and time. You know, it's like there's so much where people are like, they praise you for, you know, being bad. But there's not many people that just come out and be like, "Hey, I'm a Christian and this is just who I am." So you get your Christian fish right here on the side. And of course their packaging is simplistic, but it's very effective. And that's something else they talked to me about. The packaging is they went for something bigger and flashier and gaudy and everything, but they just didn't feel right about it. So they went with, you know, a more feng shui, or, you know, just real clean approach. And as you can see, it's not overly complicated. You've got your Precious Liquid right here, and then each fragrance has the name down here, and then of course all the bottles look like this. Then on the back there is a passage on here from the Bible. Each one has a different scripture on it, but it says Precious Liquid for Daily Anointing, and then it gives a little bit of information. 1.7, or yes, a 1.7 ounce 50 ml eau de parfum, and it says a joyful heart is good medicine, and that is actually what it has on the back of the Mandarine. And then you've got a little bit more information about the fragrance and the ingredients on the back, just like that right there. But overall, just, you know, really simplistic and very clean, but you can tell it's nice quality. It doesn't feel cheap, doesn't look cheap. This is actually kind of engraved right here. And then you've got a nice box. You might not be able to see this on the camera, but you've got your Precious Liquid right here. And then you open it up, and then you have a picture of Richard and right there. So that's a happy couple. And then on the back, you've got this little card in here, which says, "Since 2007, we have taken our time to craft exquisite scents, precious gifts that we share with our circle of friends," which is exactly how I accumulated these fragrances. I had corresponded with Richard through email, and I thought maybe he might send me a fragrance, and he sends me these. But we are good friends, and Richard, I know you're watching. Thank you for everything. I love you guys. So when you open up, you're nestled in like this right here, and this is the Mandarine. As you can see, I have put a rather significant dent. Even though this is a first impressions, this is the one that I have worn the most. Now, something that you're going to notice with these fragrances is that they are extremely high quality, and that's one thing that they were adamant about. They didn't want to take any shortcuts. Any type of aroma chemicals they use the safe ones. You know, they are adamant about it being the best it can be. And I actually saw somebody in the comments on the last video where they said they had tried a couple of these fragrances, and they're a relatively new frag head on top of that, and said all I could tell, I mean, I might not have a trained nose, but they just smell like it's just really high quality ingredients, and they are. Mandarine has mandarin, it has some rhubarb, rosemary, thyme, myrrh, and a really clean musk. It's just really, really good. But if you didn't see where I was talking about this before, I had mentioned how you can just really just pow, 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 just spray away, and it just smells so fresh, so clean. You cannot overspray it, and really for what it is, you know, it's a very light and bright fragrance, and you wouldn't think that it would have, you know, like stellar performance, but the first time that I wore this, I went ham with it. I'm not kidding. It just smelled so good. I couldn't get enough of it, and it was just like, I don't know if there's something in here where it just makes you want to keep spraying it, but you get it on your clothes. Went the next morning, I actually was in here filming and had it on. And then the next morning I grabbed my shirt, I'm like, oh God, it smells so good. And when I was talking to Richard and told him how heavy-handed I went with this fragrance, he's like, oh, I love to spray it in my car. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, bruh. So I did the same, and it smells amazing in your car. You know, obviously you don't want to waste fragrance, you know, by using it as an air freshener, but it'll last, so you might could get away with a few sprays in your car, or you know, just throw your shirt in there or something after you've sprayed it on. Mandarine is amazing, and this is the one I've spent the most time with. It does have above average performance. I don't know exactly because I just keep going ham with it, so that's why I have to kind of go easy on this one. Another thing that's really cool about these fragrances is, some of you know that my son really enjoys fragrances as well. This is also his favorite out of these, and he said that they reminded him of those little cutie oranges. So yeah, I have to think about the cutie oranges when I wear this as well. Okay, the next fragrance is called Vanilla Orchid. This is an incredibly clean, just like super clean vanilla. It's like a summertime vanilla fragrance. Now, of course, you could wear this year-round. It has a really smooth and authentic, you know, very light florals in here with that vanilla. I was talking to Mike from 5280 Scents because he's like a vanilla hound, and I was like, yo dude, this is like straight up a summertime vanilla. Now, I know some of you may know, like, I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken, when Vanilla Vibes came out from Juliet Has a Gun. Now, I did like that fragrance when it first came out, and then it kind of, I don't know, it just kind of wore thin on me. It was like, as far as like me enjoying wearing it, but spending time away from it, you know, kind of made me enjoy it. But then when I smelled this, I was like, yo, oh yeah, this is absolutely perfect. There's something in Vanilla Vibes that has a little bit of like a synthetic tinge to it. Not this. Now, I'm not completely like trying to bag on that fragrance or anything. This is just that good. Now, this one has, like, it's got to have, I don't know, I'm just guesstimating, maybe like 10 hours. It is just really, really amazing. Just so clean. And as the subscriber said when he said he smelled this, is like a poolside fragrance, and it most definitely would be a perfect poolside fragrance. Now on the back of this one, it says, oil and perfume delight the heart. This says, rich, generous, and delightful. Vanilla Orchid brings to the mind the warmth of the sun by the ocean. Fresh, juicy, fruity sensations bring pure pleasure, with Davana, prune, and fig contrasting against warm benzoin, tonka bean, vanilla orchid, and sandalwood. So yeah, this would definitely be that poolside fragrance, beach trip fragrance. It's bright, it's cheery, it's uplifting, and it is absolutely to die for if you like vanilla fragrances. Speaking of poolside or oceanic vacation type fragrances, you know, Jamaica, Hawaii, the pool, the coast, wherever, Blue Agave. Now, I posted this as my scent of the day the other day on Instagram, and I had one of my followers saying that this was their absolute favorite from the line. And I was actually talking to Steven from Redolescence about this. He was just, inquiring about the line. I was talking to him and I was like, to me, the best way that I can describe this particular fragrance is like summer nectar. Like when the sun has, like got a hold of like a strawberry, like when you eat a strawberry and you bite into it and it's, not so soft like it's getting ready to, to rot. I'm just talking about where the sun draws that sugar out and just makes it just really, really ripe and delicious. Now this is a really fresh and aquatic, just really clean fragrance. Now I was wearing this fragrance last Sunday and me and my son were gonna go swimming in the pool and then we were supposed to go over to my dad's house. I put this on about 10 a.m. this morning. We hopped in the pool maybe around 11:30. And then when we got in the pool, my son was like, dude, Dad, the water smells really good. And I was like, well, it's blue agave. He said, those are those fragrances that came in? I was like, yeah. And he's like, that's your friend's fragrances, right? I was like, yeah. And he's like, man, it just smells so good. And we were just enjoying the smell of the water in the pool. And I don't have like a little dinky pool either. It's, a full-size in-ground pool. But it just smelled so good in the water. Richard actually asked me what I thought about the performance, and I was telling him about this story with me and my son in the pool. We were in the pool for 2.5 hours. Now we had intended on only being in there about an hour because my dad's girlfriend had called the day before saying that they were going to be eating if we wanted to come over. I never said yes or no either way, but I was like, well, we probably should go ahead and come in, and we had been in the pool for 2.5 hours. So when I came in, my cell phone was ringing as my dad. He's like, dude, you coming over or what? I didn't put the food away. So I was like, I'll be right there. We head over there. I didn't change. I didn't shower or nothing. I still had my swimming trunks on and a t-shirt, and we were going to go swimming over there. But when I walk in, my dad's girlfriend said, you smell good today. It's like after being in the pool for 2.5 freaking hours. So that should tell you something. Now this one says, refreshing like salty skin after a day at the beach. This long-lasting, watery, woody fragrance features notes of blue agave, cardamom, lime, juniper berries, incense, sea moss, and driftwood. This is a stunner if there's ever been one. I mean, all of these are just so good, and the performance is stellar for this to be like, like a salty marine type fragrance. Before I get into the next fragrance, I just want to mention, just in case if you didn't see the previous review where I did talk about one of these fragrances, or you haven't heard about this line or who Richard Herpin is, it even says it right here on the back of the box. It says it's created by award-winning French perfumer Richard Herpin, whose work has been honored by the Fragrance Foundation, American Society of Perfumers, and Cosmetic Executive Women. Or we could just say that he is the perfumer for fragrances like Tom Ford Oud Wood, Tom Ford Patchouli Absolu, Amouage Opus 7. He also has done a lot of celebrity fragrances. He's worked with like Usher. He told me that like he's actually, he was on the phone talking to Usher about the fragrance that they came out with together, that he, Usher is actually a fragrance enthusiast. A lot of these celebrity scents are just like, gimmicks just to put their face on it to sell it. But Usher actually, worked hand in hand with Richard, and Richard and Gio both said that Usher's pretty cool. Now the next fragrance is Neroli Musk. On the back of this it says, let your gentleness be known to all people. And wow, if you're a fan of Neroli, you're going to absolutely love this. If you like anything like Neroli Portofino Aqua, or a buttload of other Neroli fragrances, those are two of the more well-known, better done Neroli fragrances. This is really, really good. The musk in this is just to die for. Like on the dry down of this one, this to be a fresh musk fragrance, like again, I can't, this is first impressions, so had I took the time to say, okay, this one's 10 hours, that one's 12 hours, that one's 6 hours, I'd do that for you, but I don't want to mislead you and make you think that, something's got 12 hours if it's got 10 or 6 or 7 or whatever, so we'll just leave it at that. Okay, for this fragrance, it says fresh, warm, and soft. This scent captures all the gentleness of a dear friend's embrace. This fragrance has elements of verbena, neroli blossom, musk, and moss. So this is a rather simplistic note breakdown that absolutely works. It just lets the Neroli and the Musk shine as the star of the show, and I really think that each of these fragrances, like the Mandarine, it lets that citrus be the star. Let's just say, like for example, like you have these singers that have amazing bands behind them. That's how this is. Okay, this is the lead singer. Like Musk, it's a duet. It's got Musk and Neroli is like the front man or the front man and woman, and then they've got like an amazing band or symphony behind them. That is how each of these fragrances already let each of the notes shine through and do what they're supposed to do, but the notes behind it just really elevates them and they just smell amazing. Now this one actually has probably one of the cleanest Nerolis I have ever smelled. I'm not exaggerating. Once you smell it, you can actually go to the website and get samples. I'd highly recommend. You'll see what I'm talking about. Extremely clean again. The highest quality ingredients possible, and then that musk is really going to come out on the dry down where it's just like mwah, so good. Now the last fragrance I actually saved for last just in case I get choked up, because this fragrance made me think of my mom. This one is called Rose Blanche. Now rose is a note that can be difficult for people sometimes. Like if it's jammy, sometimes I like jammy rose, sometimes I don't. I used to like Turkish rose, but now I don't. But the rose in this, I don't know if you guys have ever, just stopped to smell the roses. If you know what a fresh rose in the spring or the summer smells like especially like right after it's rained, like an early morning dew even on top of those roses, they just really just come off so fresh and clean. I don't care, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, I know like rose may not be the perfect note for certain men to wear, but yeah, I'd rock this one in a heartbeat. It's just, wow, so authentic. I mean, it just literally smells like they took like 4 million fresh roses and just crumbled them up and jammed them in there. It just smells that good. Now, before I talk a little bit more about this fragrance, I'm going to tell you this story about my mom. And I actually told this to Richard and Gio, and they really appreciated it. And it did choke me up like it is a little bit right now. So okay. Anyway, my mom has passed away, for those of you who don't know that. But anytime I would go visit her, especially, like when roses were in bloom, she loved roses. She always would have azaleas and roses. And those roses were always right there by the back door. And as you'd walk up, especially like if it had just rained or you're getting that dew like first thing in the morning on a warm day and you've got those roses, you go past it, and then mom would always greet me with the biggest hug and a smile. My mom was awesome. Best mom I could have ever asked for. So yeah, that's maybe I think that she's the reason why I turned out halfway decent. But yeah, this really just brings those memories. And I think each of these fragrances, they said, like I told you, they seemed like there was a lot of love that went into these fragrances. So you can tell that. And I think each of these fragrances tell a story. They said that they share these fragrances with their circle of friends. There's a lot of love, a lot of compassion, and you can definitely smell it in the ingredients. Now this one says, let all that you do be done in love. This is the essence of love, a pure white rose, rich yet also delicate. This aroma takes us to a spring day filled with hope. Lily of the valley is like a touch from heaven. Caressed by black currant, rose essence, rose absolute, amberwoods, and sandalwood. And what I can tell from this fragrance, this is going to last. I mean, it's really going to last. But like I said, all these are eau de parfum concentration, highest quality ingredients possible. If you have not tried this line, I would highly suggest checking them out. I will probably I did give a pretty abundant amount of information with this being a first impressions, but it is that I'm that impressed. And when I talked to Richard, like emailing, and then we spoke on the phone, now he was like, please, whatever you do, please just be honest. Even if you don't care for one, just please be honest. So that's something I also want you to know, is that I am being very transparent. I'm being very honest about this. It's not because I have made friends with an amazing couple. It's those of you who've tried this line, you can vouch for me. It's just that simple. So again, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Gio. And if you have not tried Precious Liquid, make sure to go check them out. So down in the comments, let me know if you have tried anything from Precious Liquid, and if you haven't, which one of these sounds like would be your jam. Until next time, I'll see you on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.